Hello and welcome back to another stream. I just thought that we would continue working on this armor today and maybe even do a little bit of work on the character and just sculpt up the head a little bit and stuff like that. We will see what happens. But first I need to work on these spikes. So first thing I'm gonna do is to work on these spikes. Just gotta see if this is a quicker. Yeah, that's a lot quicker. Okay, this was a lot quicker method. Want some kind of really big spike here. I know it looks a little bit weird right now, but that's how it is. Alright, and the Discord is finally starting to take some life, you know? Starting to take form. It's really getting, yeah, pretty nice, I think. Okay, something like that, and here's just a tiny spike. Somewhat like that, and then here just like that. You can see just spikes, just like here, a lot of spikes. And then just to continue this, gotta add some loops here so we can actually create some very nice curves. Something like this. Alright. Okay, maybe something like this, maybe. And here, nope, I do not want to extrude. Just adding these. Easy for me to bend them. Create the shapes I personally would like to have. Right, something like this, just starting to remove some of them. Just gotta remove what? A little bit. Alright, something like that. Okay, great. We'll just alright, let's see what we can do. Maybe just begin with kind of different shape here, so we have somewhat of a difference. Something like this, and then create this kind of shapes. Then I'm gonna take a look at my concept I created yesterday. Right, and then just moving these, creating kind of like spikes. That's kind of the whole idea. Creating awesome looking spikes. Yeah, you can see, and they need to be like a part of the armor, so that's why doing this like difficult way, or difficult and difficult, but more like complicated way, if I can say so, if I may say so, you know. here, just adding some more life to it. Inverting the mask. Maybe just somewhat like this. Yeah, something like that. Yeah, I could have had them kind of like on a line. It would look very like, you know, organized, and I did not want that. Something like this is more what I want. Then I just gonna add some more like this. Yeah, and we can kind of like combine it into the armor as well. Make this a little bit of a nice beveling, so it looks a little bit nicer. Doesn't do too much, but it does a little bit. A little bit is super important sometimes. Yeah, you can see this big, like, what's called spike right here. Really just bring some life into the character. You can see it looks really evil with all of these spikes. Somewhat like this. Then here, let's just fix this, because this looks a little bit too perfect, if you ask me. And this is my sculpture, so let's just see what we can change. Somewhat like this. Here we can really just make some kind of weird shape, just to make it a little bit more uneven. Something like that, maybe. Okay, I'm gonna just try to make this spike into a different direction. Gonna mask it out. And then make it somewhat like this. And I'm just gonna flip it like that. I'm not gonna take too much time to do it. Just gonna flip it and smooth out the base. It's not harder than that. Pretty simple. I just want to redirect something. Yeah, it looks very uncomfortable. This like armor. Then we're gonna have this like claws, like in the armor, like fingers gonna be like long claws, like spikes as well. Gonna look really cool. Yeah, and now let's see. We have some nice detail here. Gotta work on this like warthog, like, yeah, this like piece here. It's not gonna be like a real animal. I think it's gonna be made of gold or something. Alright. And then here we gotta work on this, because this doesn't look as I want it. Right, and then here. Right, something like this, just adding these shapes, kind of like a little bit like Bowser style here, right? I just think it looks cool. We are going to give him some pants later, so we haven't added anything like that. And here we're gonna have a chainmail, cover this up, and we're gonna have some gloves, and on top of that some basic armor, and then, or basic, we're gonna have pretty complicated armor there actually, and on the feet very basic. And then we have a horse to him as well, so we can create some armor to the horse as well. But right now we're just creating armor to Ganon, or Ganondorf. You know? Create some nice curves here, just to bring a little bit more life to it. Make it look a little bit better made. So you haven't really added muscle definition, you could like really go and add a ton of like tricep here, all this. I'm not gonna have to do that because, you know, we're not gonna see it. So why add it for this character right now? If you already know it ain't gonna be seen. Alright. Somewhat like this. Here's gonna be cloth. Right, something like this. Let's see here now. See what we can do with this piece. I want to add some cool like patterns to it later, so let's just work on this. This piece we can just duplicate, so we're not gonna have to do it. Yeah, we're gonna do it twice because something like that. Lead higher. Extrude. Can do the same here before we just extrude, and then insert. Let's get insert here as well. And we have some more armor like surface there now. Looks a little bit better. Okay, this doesn't look too good out. So let's work on it. Sorry guys. Gonna turn the sound off. Yeah, so let's turn it off, something like that. Great, sorry for that. Right. I'm gonna work with this curvature here. You can always smooth because it's not gonna affect it too much. What's gonna happen is that it rounds this out a little bit, and that doesn't really do us any harm. And this part is going to be letter. Yeah, something like that, you know. So I can just out a little bit. So we're gonna leave that as it is actually. So this is armor. It's pretty important, the difference, because it's gotta be like sculpted in a different way, you know. Right. I'm just gonna record this as well. I think that actually kinda works. Let's take a little bit of a better look. Let's take a little bit more like dramatic take on this. Something like this. You see it's pretty like badly molded and stuff like that. Doesn't look like super nice out, but yeah. He's gonna look like an evil character, so that's fine. This is just adding to all that like character that we want to add to this guy. I just think that they just ruin the entire thing, but that is actually not the case. Just add some more character. Something like that, maybe. Yeah, that's just a little bit more. We can add a lot more character. Really to like chest plate. I've added 0 character to that right now. Really like just sharpen it up a little bit, making these turns a lot sharper. Important that we keep these parts. Yeah, that's better. Let's sharpen it up. That's more what we needed. Yeah, so we want a lot of sharp angles. Here, let's just sharpen it up a bit. Right, make these sharp angles, not be afraid to make them sharp, because that's when we get into some problematic area if we don't go 100% with the character, because then it's not going to look like the character. If I have one type of armor, one part, and a different type of armor on another, it's going to look weird. We need it to look like it's the same character. This is supposed to be a pretty like rich character as well, right? Or powerful. Something like that. Somewhat like that. That's a lot better. Let's just sharpen this up. let's sharpen it up a little bit. So corners here we can really sharpen it up. Can also make it a little bit uneven here. To one part, smooth it out. Make it look like pretty like destroyed at that part. Nah, I don't like that. Right now I just want it super clean so I know what I'm doing. Doesn't get too like weird right now. Can always add more complexity later on. First of all, I just want to see how it's gonna look with scratches and all these kind of stuff. That's really just gonna take it to the next level. Something like that. Alright. Maybe it's actually time to make these. Oh, I forgot about thing, but that's a very, very easy fix. Just gonna go to the reference. If I can find it. Sounds very bad, I know. There it is. Fantastic. Yeah, I'm gonna do something like this. Start off with saving. As that, and then I'm gonna go to this part. This should all be like this. And then let's merge down. So now if I move this, I move everything, good. Then I guess gonna duplicate it and still have that there. Something like this. This may actually work for fingers as well. Gotta have some kind of armor that goes like this. Yeah, just looks kind of like badass. Yeah, we can take this for fingers as well, because it's not going to be more difficult than that. It's very, very basic what I'm doing right now, just moving armor around so it fits on this character. It's a little bit, painful work, but you save a lot of time. Saving time is really, really good on big characters like this. As you probably can imagine. Something like that. Right. Let's take that. Scale it down. Now get to a little bit more tricky parts. Just gotta find the reference I was thinking about. Okay, that makes it very, very simple. Right, and something like this, just merging it all together a little bit more. This might look a little bit weird right now. Give me like 2 seconds, it's gonna make a lot more sense. Right, something like so. This is gonna be top of the fingers. Whoa. Yeah. This is just a little bit tricky to get it to match. But that's how I want it, at least. Yeah, you can at least see the idea here. Gonna have to do one part, extra part, or a couple extra parts. Yeah, just something very basic like this. Just makes it look a lot more complicated. This looks way more impressive. Just gotta duplicate these over to the other fingers. Duplicate them, making sure they actually are nicely placed. Kinda like this. Yeah, you can see like really basic trick to get some like variation really quickly to the entire armor. Thinking about a new idea for this, and maybe even for this, so I might erase those if I'm gonna be honest. Not too much work, so wouldn't be too bad, I guess. The one in the middle needs to be the thickest. Yeah, so just something like this, I'm thinking, and then duplicate it once more. And just something like this. Straighten this finger out. This finger. Yes, so I don't need to do a whole bunch of work. Because somewhat like this. Yeah, so this is just a very simple base, just to get something here. At the moment you can see it doesn't look perfect, but at least it works for now. See, we can change just like middle part and stuff like that a little bit later on. And of course I want this on the thumb as well, because it's just gonna look, don't really know if they have that on armor, but it's gonna look badass. So let's add it. I have an idea what I want to do with this, so just wait, you'll see. This is just very beginning of all of this. Some cool armor plates, the fingers. Something like that. Just very basic. want to add a class before I do anything else. What is this? Really now? Okay, I don't know, don't really care as long as everything just works. Right. Something like this. And then create those claws. Like really cool claws. Or they're cool in my mind. Haven't really tried it out. But first of all, let's give him a glove. Something like that. Let's give him this glove. Yeah, accept. Perfect. Something like this. Then this guy gotta smooth it all out. Okay, we gotta smooth this out, but not too much, because then it's gonna look really weird. But just something like this. Then let's move this in place. Yeah, so you can see now it's starting to look a little bit more natural. We gotta replace these hands later, because some weird duplication here. Yeah, I just want to hide that guy later on. Let's just delete the gloves. Let's add them a little bit later. Not our top priority right now. This is all about just doing one step at a time. Something like this. Then here we just gotta create. Okay, before we do the class, I'm gonna do one piece first. Yeah, as you can see, I'm just jumping like back and forth between different ideas. Yeah, that's basically how I'm doing it. Just want one piece like this. Yeah, something like that. Perfect. Let's accept. Something like... yeah, something like this. You can see kind of like the knuckles, like this. Here, we just gotta move this over like so. Gonna make this work together pretty nicely. I have personally never done this before, so this is like trial and error. That's how you learn. Gotta see that I'm learning a lot too. You know, I'm only 16, so turning 17 soon. Yeah, so something like... Okay, somewhat like this. And then geometry, and delete hidden, and then zero mesh. Start off with an adapt and then half. That might have been pretty perfect actually. Right, I still want some volume but not too much, because then it's gonna look very, very sculpted. And I'm trying to get away from that sculpture feeling, you know? Like when I'm doing armor. You can see down here at the leg still looks very like ZBrush. But here it looks a lot less like ZBrush. The Warthog, of course, is gonna look like a sculpture piece. Alright. Double it. Right, I think this actually is fair enough. Let's just keep same. Thank you. And then just move this like so. This is pretty much good enough for me, but it doesn't really look exactly how I want it. And that's gonna be a little bit of a problem. Because it's gotta look more like how I want it in my mind, you know. I want these like knuckles here. Yeah, that fourth one can be a little bit weird if it want to be. Don't really matter too much. But somewhat like this, I feel like it's gonna work. Extrude. And then yes, do something like that, and then something like that, and then something like that. Delete higher, and then polygroup, and then extrude, polygroup. Extrude it. You can see very, very basic. Not that much. Something like that more. Then just insert. Then go up in poly, make it not be by itself. Now we have a little weird but still usable part. And here we just gotta make this a little bit higher up so this part can fit underneath. This is actually starting to work. Okay, let's do something cool here, because we can't have this like super nice round shapes. That's not gonna work for me. This might not be the coolest, but it's gonna work. You see, just destroying the shapes I just made. Yeah, so it looks less clean. It's actually a lot of fun destroying all your shapes you just worked hard to create. And then just ending up with some cool stuff. I'm not gonna complain about it. it's starting to look a lot cooler out. How we're gonna do those things? They're pretty important that they are done right, because otherwise it's gonna look stupid. I don't want this to look stupid, not when I put all this work in. Right, something like this. Just gotta go to my references. Armor references, I don't really know what to call it otherwise. Just some new ideas that I really want to try out. But I can try them very, very soon. Let's just start with the coolest one of them all. The thumb. You can see here we want this to be like huge claws. Okay, not like that, more like this. Perfect. Going somewhat like this. Yeah, that's gonna work pretty well. I want this to look like armor, so it's not gonna look like bone or like nails or something like that. It's gonna need to look like armor. So how are we gonna do that with a piece like this? That's a very, very good question. Because itself doesn't look quite like armor, right? It just looks like cool. Something like this, and then just adding a little bit of pieces, kind of like this, around all of this, like something like that, maybe. It's creating something that's gonna look kind of like armor, kind of like that. Okay, guys, I'm very sorry to say this, but I have to go now. So thank you guys so much for watching. Really appreciate that you took your time to watch this, and I'll see you next time. Really hope that you liked this very short but hopefully useful live stream. So yeah, thank you guys so much.